Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Jayden.reads. Long time no see, am I right? So, I'm finally getting back to making videos, and I'm sure you can tell, but a lot of things have changed. I mean, even my hair, look, it's all gone. It's all short and barely curled, but I love it. But yeah, lots of changes have happened. It's been, I think, 2 or 3 months since I've filmed a video, since I've uploaded a video, which is kind of crazy, but here I am again, and I'm so excited to be making videos again. So the purpose of this video is just to tell you guys where I've been, why I haven't been making videos, and then of course to go over the books I read during summer, have a little summer reading wrap up. So really quick, where I've been. I'm pretty sure the last video I made was my I Have a Responsibility to Learn video about the conflict in Burma, and I will go ahead and link that up here. So I made that video, and then shortly after, my family went on a cruise, and I planned on filming while on the cruise, didn't. So then I came back, and then I was going to film, and then we found out that my husband actually has 3 blood clots in his brain. And that was really startling and really big news. Just something that was really, really hard for me, to be honest, and difficult in ways that I didn't expect, and it was an unexpected thing, and it just brought a lot of challenges, and kind of my motivation to film and to read and all of those things was just sucked away for a while. We found out about his blood clots in, I don't even remember, I want to say August, the end of August. So it's been a while now. I've adjusted more, things are settling kind of back to normal. I decided to take a break from school and just work, and so I'm working at this really neat charter school that's specifically for kids with autism, and I get to work in a classroom of 6th graders. I absolutely love my job. I love the kids. They make every day so much fun. So I'm not currently in school. I'm about a year away from graduating. I will get back to it as soon as I can. But for now, I'm just taking care of my family, naming my husband by working. And so like I said, it was kind of a hard adjustment, but I'm pretty adjusted to it now. I'm enjoying my time. I'm honestly enjoying how much free time I have not being in school, because you guys know probably like homework is a killer. And studying. So yeah, I'm really loving all the free time that I have. Like I said, I love my job. It's October, which is like the best month, besides November, of course, because I was born in November. I can't wait to do a bunch of like spooky readathons. I actually have one in the works, so that's coming up. It'll probably be up next week or so, I would say. But yeah, I'm super excited for everything in store. I'm super excited to be making videos again. I know I keep saying I'm super excited, but I am. I'm so excited to be making videos again. This is something that I really enjoy, and something that kind of strangely helps me just de-stress and feel more like me and be creative, and those are all things that I love to do. So I read a lot over the summer. I didn't read as much when everything was going on with my husband, but I do have a pretty good size reading wrap up to get into, and I don't want to make this video too long, so let's just get into the books that I read over the summer. I will tell you what I've read and just give you a brief synopsis and some of my thoughts on them. Okay, so I know that my channel is fairly new, but if you've been following my channel at all, you should know that in my earlier videos, I talked about really wanting to read The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And I really did try, but I still haven't finished it. I'm not saying that I will never finish it, but as of right now, I kind of don't have a desire. Like, I want to say that I read it, but it's not that enjoyable of a read, if that makes sense. And I feel like I need to be reading things that I enjoy. So, yeah. That's currently sitting on the shelf. Hopefully we'll get back to that soon. So the first book that I actually did read this summer was The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. And I have a full-on like video review of that, so I'll link it somewhere up here. That book was not my favorite. If you don't know what that book is about, it's a mystery thriller kind of book. It's about a woman, wow, I don't even remember her name. I think it's Lo. I'm pretty sure her name is Lo. It's short for Lara. And she is a reporter for this travel magazine, and she gets the chance to go on this like new luxury she gets to go on this new luxury cruise liner, and there ends up being a murder. And so she's trying to like solve the murder. It's kind of like a murder mystery. A lot of people compare Ruth Ware to Agatha Christie. I don't think that it's an accurate comparison though, and so I've read several of Ruth Ware's books now. I don't think that she comes anywhere near Agatha Christie's mastery of mystery novels, but to each his own. So I read that one. Would I recommend it? Not really. And the next book I read was The Alice Network, and I loved this book. It is one of my top favorite books ever. It's one of my very top. I do have a full-on review for that book as well, so I will link that up here. But really quickly, The Alice Network is a historical fiction. It's written by Kate Quinn, and the story just basically follows two women, one who was a spy during World War I, and then another woman who is living post-World War II and trying to find her lost cousin. And it's a story of them coming together and just kind of, I guess, how they face the obstacles put in their path. I don't want to say too much about it because I didn't know very much about it and loved it to pieces. So I would highly, highly recommend The Alice Network. Okay, and then when I was in Thailand this summer, I actually was just like chilling in my little baby studio apartment by myself. I went to Thailand with my husband, but he had to come home early for an internship, so I was there for 2 weeks by myself. I mean, I was there with my research team, but like where I was staying, I was by myself, and so I had a lot of spare time, and so I read a duology. It was by Renee Audier. I don't know how you say her name. I think that might be it. I never heard of her before, and she wrote The Flame in the Mist and The Smoke in the Sun. She has several other works out. She has a book called The Beautiful that I think is about vampires, and it's going to come out this month. And I may consider picking that one up because I loved Flame in the Mist so much. So The Flame in the Mist was basically just, I guess it's like loosely, in the synopsis, it says it's loosely based off of Japanese mythology, and I lived in Japan for a year and a half and can speak Japanese and all those things, and so I absolutely love Japan, and it was really fun for me to see that represented in a book. And basically, this book is about a girl named Mariko, and she is a princess, I'm pretty sure. Some kind of Japanese princess, and she's supposed to go marry this king. And on her way to marry the king, her caravan is attacked, and she believes that she was attacked by these people. And I want to say they were called the Black Hand, but honestly, that sounds like it could be in any book or any movie, so I don't know if I'm mixing that up with something else. But yeah, she thinks she was attacked by somebody, I think the Black Hand. And anyway, she decides that she's going to go like seek revenge. So she's going to go find them. She's going to go kill them because they wanted to kill her, but they didn't get away with it. It turns into a lot more than that, and it has this really beautiful love story, and it's a really fun book, a really like unique because it's a different kind of mythology than what I feel like most books are based off of, and we have a lot of fun characters. This book also, well, I guess this duology has some amazing, I don't want to say one-liners, I guess quotes. Yeah, you would just say quotes. It has some amazing quotes that just really spoke to me and inspired me to be better and taught me a lot about life. The only thing that I will say about these books that can be difficult is they have a lot of Japanese words in them. I read these books on my phone, actually with the Libby app, which if you guys haven't checked out, you definitely need to. Libby, I'm not sponsored or anything, but Libby is an app that is connected to your local library. So if you have a library card and you put your card information in Libby, you can access a complete online library. So you can get a lot of books really quickly just to your phone. You can also get a lot of audiobooks that way, and that's also how I was able to read a lot this summer. But anyway, I read these books off of Libby, and so it obviously electronic format, it's kind of difficult to use because I'm pretty sure that there's like a glossary at the end that tells you the definition of all these Japanese words. That's what I'm trying to get at. As I speak Japanese, I didn't really need the glossary, and so I didn't look for one. I didn't look for anything like that. I didn't know there was a glossary until the end, when I think I just like naturally turned to that page. But I do remember thinking, oh, if you don't speak Japanese, this might be really irritating because there are a lot of Japanese words that are just used like, I don't know, like if I was saying, I'm filming using my phone, like the word phone would just randomly be in Japanese and there would be no explanation as to what phone meant, if that makes sense. Like, she just will sometimes substitute words for Japanese words, which is fine and fun for me, like I said, because I knew it, but I do remember thinking that if I didn't know Japanese, it would be kind of annoying. That being said, I think there is a glossary, so it's definitely doable, and it's not all the time, but I would just be aware of that going into it. I don't know. The next book that I read this summer was The Death of Mrs Westaway, and this is another of Ruth Ware's like mystery thrillers. So this book, I felt kind of, I guess, so-so about. I don't know, like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it, and I don't even know that I liked it. I don't know. So kind of the premise of this book is that there's this girl, and I completely forgot her name. Yikes. I honestly don't remember her name. But there's this girl, the main girl, and she owns some money. What? She owes some money to a loan shark. And she works reading tarot cards on this pier on the beach. So she doesn't make very much money. And she needs to pay this guy back. I'm pretty sure she's paid him back in full, but you know, he keeps coming after her like, oh, you owe interest, or you owe this, or like, we're gonna take your house if you don't pay, and blah blah, all these things. She knows that she owes some money, she's in trouble. When she borrowed the money, it wasn't exactly legal, so she doesn't feel like she can get a lawyer or anything to help her. So she's in this situation, and she gets this letter, if I'm remembering this correctly, telling her, oh, your grandma, Mrs. Westaway, has passed away, and you were written into her will. You are supposed to receive like X amount of money, and you, like, in order to claim it, you need to come to her funeral and come to the family home, or something weird like that. I read this on the plane coming home from Thailand, and I was exhausted, so I don't totally remember it. Whatever the letter says, she ends up deciding like, oh, this wasn't actually my grandmother, but I'm going to, I can't think of any words right now. I'm going to like dress up as this lady, and I'm going to go to this funeral and go stay at this house for a couple of days so that I can get this money because I really need it. So she's like posing as the descendant of Mrs. Westaway to get money. And the house that she goes to stay in is really creepy. There's a lot of family secrets. I think there's talk about whether or not Mrs. Westaway's death was natural or had some human interference. I honestly do not remember. Yeah, as I was saying, I honestly don't remember too much about this book. I just remember creepy stuff was happening with the housemaid, and there is some kind of murder. There is like this really intense moment at the end, but I wasn't impressed with the overall story. I wasn't captivated. I didn't necessarily feel like a need to keep reading. I just kept reading because I was on a plane and had nothing else to do because that flight was so long. I mean, once again, it's like nothing against it, just I don't necessarily recommend it. The next book that I read this summer was An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green, and I'm pretty sure that's the first book that I ever read because of BookTube. A lot of my favorite booktubers like Hannah from A Clockwork Reader and Zoe from Read by Zoe had read this book, and they were recommending it a lot, and it was always coming up in like book recommendations, favorite books, stuff like that. I decided to read it, and to be honest, I did not like it at all. Like, at all. It's this really weird story about this Carl. Like, that gives you no explanation. A Carl, you know? No, so it's like this girl, I also forgot her name. I mean, you can see how memorable this is already. Yeah, but some girl, so she's like, I totally forgot her job too. I think she's a journalist? I don't remember. She like is coming home late from the office one night and she lives in New York, and April, I think that's her name. She sees this big robot that's just like standing there in the street, and she doesn't know what it is, doesn't know what it does, and so as a joke, she has a friend come over and they like film. So she basically just acts like she's interviewing this guy, this robot, and she names it Carl. So she'll just be like, oh, Carl, how's your day? Or where are you from? And then like hold it up to him or something dumb like that. And it becomes really famous. Like the video starts trending on YouTube, and these Carls start popping up everywhere else. And I think the whole book is supposed to be a commentary on fame. And as far as that goes, I think it did a good job. I think it really did do a good job commenting on fame and commenting on what it's like when, or what I imagine it's like when you feel like, you know, you just live a normal, like, kind of insignificant life, and then all of a sudden you do something that's not necessarily that special, and, like, it blows up, and, like, it's just, I think it's just, like, a big commentary on, like, internet culture and such, which I appreciate. I mean, yeah, I love a good social commentary. Wasn't an enjoyable read for me. There was a lot of profanity, and if you've watched like some of my other videos, you know, for me, that's just not something that I'm into. I personally think that it marks a writer or a character or a human being as unintelligent when, you know, the F word is the only word they can use to describe things, instead of saying, like, oh, what a beautiful morning. It's like, this is an effing morning. It's like, that doesn't even make sense, and it's stupid, and I'm personally not into it because it's like, that doesn't take any skill or talent, and like I said, that I think it's completely distasteful and whatever. Like, that's just a personal preference. I'm not into it. And this book was full of profanity. This book was also relatively, like, boring for me. I felt like, I guess I'm just not a huge contemporary fan. I feel like I already live my life. I read more as an escape. I read to learn new things, hear about something new, explore a fun new idea. And if it's just, in my mind, like, just a contemporary, just something that could happen to anybody or could happen to me, it's kind of boring. I feel like I already live a life I don't want to read somebody else's, in a way, like, when it's incredibly average. I don't know if that makes sense, but so far I'm not a huge fan of contemporaries, and yeah, there was just something about that book that really didn't sit well with me. I didn't enjoy it. So it was interesting. A lot of people recommend it. I wouldn't tell you don't pick it up, but would I recommend it? No, I found it boring, and I could have easily gone without it. The next book that I read was The Mysterious Affair at Styles by Agatha Christie. Honestly, I cannot tell you a single thing about this book. As I mentioned before, I was using the Libby app to stream the audiobook, and I was moving into my brand new apartment as I was listening to this book. I was really stressed. I think I was cleaning the kitchen as I was reading this book, so there was a lot of putting things on different shelves, a lot of dishes being done. The dishwasher was constantly going in the back because I kept loading it. My phone, the audio doesn't get very loud in the first place, and it was kind of a quieter audiobook, and I listened to the entire thing. I didn't read any of it, and I was stressed about moving in, so I was kind of only half paying attention, and a murder mystery isn't something that you can only half pay attention to, and the premise of this one didn't really catch my attention. I, like, don't even remember what it's about. Yeah, I wanted to start reading the Poirot novels, so I listened to this one, and then I checked out Murder on the Links, I think it is, from the library. That's the second Poirot novel, and I stopped halfway through. It just really wasn't holding my attention, and there were a lot of other books that I wanted to get to, and I didn't want to push myself to read something I wasn't interested in. I love, 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 and then there were none. I will link my review up here for it. P.S. It's like the second video I ever made, and it's pretty horrible, but you'll hear my thoughts. I actually just barely reread that book, like, last week and did a book club about it. As far as the other Agatha Christie's that I've read so far, not as impressed. So the next book that I tried to read but DNF'd was The Secret Life of Violet Grant. If you watched my summer TBR, which I will link up here, I mentioned that I really wanted to read this book. It was by Beatrice Williams. It is by Beatrice Williams. I believe that's her name. I also wanted to read The Golden Hour by Beatrice Williams. So I started out this book. I had the audiobook on Libby, and then I also checked out the physical book from the library. And this was also when I was, like, cleaning the apartment, organizing. I had a ton of time to just listen to books. And I didn't really enjoy An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, and I didn't enjoy Mysterious Affair at Styles, but, you know, I finished those ones. This book, I could not finish. It was so infuriatingly boring when it had such a good premise. And maybe that's just me, but I felt like the story was dragging. I was absolutely hating it. And I felt like it was very derogatory of women, which was interesting to me because it's written by a woman, and everything about it made me feel like it was going to be progressive or feminist or just ideologies that I align more with. But I felt like it was very derogatory of women. It painted them as stupid, in my opinion, and as sexual objects, which are things that I'm not okay with. And Maybe it gets better. Maybe that was all like for a purpose. Maybe at the end it was going to show that that wasn't true. All I know is it bothered me to the point that I did not finish it, and I didn't pick up the golden hour either because I was so disappointed in this book. So the next book that I read, sorry, I have so many. I have honestly more than 12 books on this list. So this is number 9. The next book that I read was Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda, which I also did a full-on review for, so that video will be linked up here. Also, if I run out of linking abilities for these videos up here, I'll link them down below. Anyway, so I read Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda as part of my I Have a Responsibility to Learn challenge, which is just basically I picked issues that are really important for me to learn about, different social issues, and every month of the year I wanted to read a book about those issues and become more informed. And I do just want to throw this out there. I have put a pause on that challenge because, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I've gone through some kind of challenging things as of late, especially with my husband and his health. And my mental health wasn't in the best place when all of this was happening. That was really overwhelming and hard for me. And I didn't feel like I could read something that was going to be provocative or really thought-inducing about a social issue that I cared about, if that makes sense. Like, I already felt like things were really heavy and I couldn't add to that. So I do want to continue my I Have a Responsibility to Learn challenge. I probably won't go back and read like the missed months, if that makes sense, because these books tend to be longer and they're harder for me to get through because, like I said, they are about heavy topics. But when I feel emotionally ready, I will continue that challenge. So that being said, I read Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda, have a review on it. Didn't love it. It was kind of a meh book for me. Plot wasn't that interesting. A lot of profanity. You already know, don't like that. Felt like it was very high schooly and that a lot of our problems could be solved with proper communication. And yeah, it didn't feel exciting to me because it was just like, just talk and none of these problems would exist. Yeah, I didn't love that one, but if you want to read it, give it a try. The next book that I read this summer was my very first ever cozy mystery, which was Brownies and Broomsticks. And I don't remember who that's by. Bailey Cates. Bailey Cates is who I wrote this book, I'm pretty sure. So like I said, first ever cozy mystery, and I was surprised by how much I loved it. It was completely cheesy. It was this girl, Katie Lightfoot, who went to this small town to work in her aunt and uncle's bakery, and her uncle was framed for a murder, and Katie tries to solve the murder and prove that it wasn't her uncle, and also finds out that she's a witch in the process. It was like 300 pages and like the simplest and cheesiest thing I'd ever read, but it was like reading a Hallmark movie, and I loved it, so I will probably pick up more of those in the future, and I would totally recommend it if you're looking for just a lighthearted read. The next book that I read was Miss Burma, and that was the last book I read in my I Have a Responsibility to Learn challenge, so I also have a video all about that book. I'll put the link up here or down here, wherever it works. This book definitely has major trigger warnings for sexual violence, for war, trauma, anything like that, like marriage hardships. There's a lot of triggers in this book. Genocide, those kind of really big political issues. Basically, though, I think this book is incredibly valuable and informative as it covers the history of the war in Burma between the Burmese people and the Karen people. And it specifically follows one family and kind of their journey through the revolution and their journey with their daughter becoming the winner of the Miss Burma pageant. That makes it sound really dumb, but it is phenomenal, just a very heavy book. So I would say well worth the read, extremely informative, engaging as a book in and of itself, but has some pretty heavy subject matter. So just know that going into it. And then lastly, my reads for the summer wrapped up with Harry Potter 1 through 5. I still have to read 6 and 7, and I am currently reading 6, so I should finish those up soon. Harry Potter, absolute favorite series in the entire world. I've been doing crafts and making treats to go along with them, as you guys probably know. I have videos about that. I have footage from some crafts and treats that have not made it into a video yet, so I will sneak them into some upcoming video that I will plan. I'll probably finish all the crafts and treats and then just make it into one big like Harry Potter DIY video, so it's easily accessible. Been reading them, watching the movies. It's an absolute joy anytime I can do anything with Harry Potter. Would I recommend them? You betcha. So yeah, that's it for my summer reading wrap up. Like I said, I read over 12 books this summer. A really eventful summer for me in terms of reading. My Goodreads goal was to read 12 books this year, and I read them all this summer. That's the most I've read in a really long time, and I'm really proud of myself. And yeah, I'm just excited to be making videos again. I have some fun ones coming up, and I can't wait to share them with you guys. Thank you so much for being patient with me. I can't promise that my videos will be consistent, but I can promise that more will be coming out. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!